I just want you to see my masterpiece Swiss mushroom spaghetti omelet. Well, I have kind of screwed up. I have committed myself to a project that's turned out to be a much, much larger project than I at first. Come on, come on. Oh, come on, I'll help you up. I really didn't want to commit to a big project. What I really wanted to do was just repaint my floor. And this paint in here has lasted about 3 years now, with me rolling, constantly over it and walking in and out and all that. So I figure another coat or two of paint and, it'll last till I can't make knives anymore. So I was sitting at this bench and I thought, before I do the floor, I think I'm going to sand the tops of these benches down and put some polyurethane on them and clean the benches up. So I did that one, and then last night I realized, first of all, this entire shop now is absolutely covered in the dust from sanding that. I screwed up. I have a vacuum right here. I could have put it on my sander and eliminated about 2/3 of the dust. But I had already mopped my floors and cleaned them spick and span, or I could paint over this. So first, I sanded this down and put a coat of poly on. What the hell was I thinking? I should have sanded that, sanded this, clean up all my dust, and then put 2 coats on each bench. But I wasn't thinking. And so I've kind of got myself committed to a much bigger and longer project than I really wanted to commit myself to. And then we have this is not anything that affects our lives, but we're seeing this happen through kind of family connections. And I'll give you I don't want to be too explicit about the who and all that, but I'll give you a basic rundown. Some people that we know had a son, and he's been a problem child, and he had such a bizarre personality that they took him out of school and let him school at home. And anyway, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And now, for 2 years after graduating, he has lived in his room in their house, and he's done nothing but eat and internet and TV, and he's turned into a huge, pale, soft marshmallow of a really stupid kid. And now he's got himself involved in they couldn't get him to get a job, they couldn't get him to leave the house, they couldn't get him to blossom. Because I don't know the answer. I just know what I would or would not put up with, and they put up with more than I would have. Anyway, the kid has overnight left home and went to another state and got himself into he doesn't know it yet, but we all know it, a very bad situation with very bad people. Bad, and I mean that their souls are completely corrupt and polluted. And I won't say too much about it, but the person that he's going there to see goes by the pronoun of they. Okay? It was once a she, and then now it's a he. And for marriage, they call themselves poly. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But he's got himself in a situation that he does not know. So he's almost 20, right? At this age, I was getting out of the army at 20. And it's just a very, very sad situation. On one hand, it's a blessing because the parents finally have this, I say, monster of a human. That's my opinion. I can't see any good coming from this young human. I think he's just too far gone. It will take an absolute miracle to turn him into a decent man. Okay, so that's one thing. This is not my problem. It's just some things that are going on around us that are very upsetting. And then some other people we know through, family and all that. It's not related to us and has no effect on us. Well, these people both just recently took that thing in the arm, right? The thing we can't talk about. And begins with a PH and ends with a ZER. That one. And immediately, all kinds of bad things started happening to them. Shingles, double periods, double menstrual cycles, a lump in her breast, and nobody knows, nobody that watches my videos, so I'm not being specific enough. This could be anybody on the planet, so I don't think anyone's going to get mad, but it's just mind-boggling. Oh, and if that wasn't bad enough, after they took this, they came down with it and were very sick for about 10 days after they took the thing in the arm. Just mind-boggling. All right. So, I have committed myself to a much, much, much larger and dirtier project than I planned on. So, I am committed. So, this is going to take me forever now because the hardest part is going to be painting the floor because I got to get down on my hands and knees. I'm going to, paint with a brush, and I'm not going to move furniture. I'm going to paint around stuff like that because it's too heavy to move. And some areas are just fine. I'm going to paint as close as I can without getting paint all over everything. But so here we are. I am going to, let me see if this is even remotely dry. Yeah, it's okay. So, I'm going to lay a blanket over this. And then when I finish sanding the other, behind me, my other bench, and get everything all cleaned up, then I'll go back to getting serious about putting polyurethane. And while that's drying, I'll probably get to the floor. I'm going to have to completely do the floor all over again. Yeah, I got myself into a much bigger mess than I realized I was getting myself into, but I done started it, so I'm going to get after it. Alrighty. So, thanks for hearing me out. Just, it's nice to have a place to talk about things. And if you're going to comment on that thing on the arm, be very, very careful about what you say, because, man, I'll tell you, there is a concerted effort to punish anyone that doesn't toe the line they want towed, and you know what I'm talking about. So that's just the world we have to live in now. And this is why I hang on to things sometimes. I'm out of sandpaper for this, and this is a Velcro based sandpaper, but I accidentally bought these for that, and these are Velcro backed and not sticky backed like that requires. So here I am cutting that out of these because the main reason is I don't want to go to town and buy sandpaper for that, and I'm already kind of mad at myself for getting involved in this. And if you look carefully, you can see I got some terrible, I just screwed up from start to finish. So, but I'm gonna make lemonade out of lemons. It's all my own fault this has happened, and I'm gonna have to follow it through. It's gonna take me a lot longer to get through this than I thought. So, all right, I'm gonna stop crying over spilled milk and just get to work. Well, I just my wife and I were talking about this whole situation that this kid has got himself into, and my wife and I were talking about situations that we were in as young people where we had to make important, very life life-changing decisions at critical moments in our life. And I'm going to tell you one of mine. I was a young man, and I was hitchhiking all over the country, basically. And I was homeless and hungry and young. And I ended up living with these hippies, and these were not the peace-loving, groovy kind of hippies. These were hippies with serious drug problems. And one night, these hippies decided they were all going to go. Now, I was living with them, but I hadn't been there long, and I was only living there long enough for me to figure out where I wanted to go for the next part of my life. Anyway, these hippies decided they were going to break into a pharmacy and steal the drugs. And they wanted me to go. And that was a point in my life where I had to make, I'm cutting as I'm talking, a critical decision that could have determined the path that my life went down. And I knew it would be a huge, huge mistake being a part of that. And I said no, and they were mad. And not only did I say no, but I was packing my backpack, fixing to leave, and they wouldn't let me leave. And there was about 8 or 9 of them and just me, and I was very, very young. So they went, and they broke into a pharmacy, and they came back with the drugs, and they were real proud of all the medicine that they got, and they were going through it and talking about this medicine does that, and this medicine, you take 1 or 2 of these and you combine it with that, and then they started looking at me real funny, and I heard them talking about me going to the cops because I didn't go rob the pharmacy with them. And I knew that they were going to do something bad to me because they had talked themselves into a frenzy about me going to the cops. I assured them I wouldn't, and all I wanted to do was leave, and they wouldn't let me leave. And I had already packed my backpack, and this place that they were living in was so crowded that the only place I could sleep in without getting stepped on was under a table. The table happened to be right near a window. The window slid open this way, and it was about that wide, and I was a skinny kid back then. And I waited for everybody to go to sleep, and I quietly slid that window open. I picked my backpack off, I dropped it out that window. I hopped out that window and I hauled ass, and I never went back. And to this day, I look back and I realize how this little fork in the road, if I had made the wrong decision and gone that way, it could have changed my whole life for the worse. And that's where this young man is at right now. And I'm afraid he's taken the wrong path. And the only person that can save him now is him. And it's a tragedy, but it's a tragedy that they all helped create. The mother, the father, the son, all the other people that made excuses and pardoned his behavior. We had a little bit to do with that kid. We had him over here to help us work a little bit. All it was shoveling stuff in a wheelbarrow. This kid, and I blame the father for this. He was such a pale, soft marshmallow that he couldn't do what my wife was doing. And you know how old my wife is and what size she is. He was actually mad that he was sweating. Well, you know, it was August. Of course you're going to sweat. And right here around this shop, it had some vinyl skirting. And I had him tear the vinyl skirting down. And I said, look, you got to undo these screws and take the siding down. You can't tear it down because it'll ruin the siding on my shop. And the shop, you know, the shop siding is very, very thin gauge. I mean, this shop that I'm in is thin gauge aluminum, and if you go pulling on it, it'll just tear the aluminum up.
So I gave him a nut driver to unscrew the 1/4-inch hex head screws that were holding the vinyl in, and a pair of cutters, 2 tools. I told him, I'm very weird about my tools. Don't lose these tools. A nut driver and a pair of cutters. That's all I gave him. The kid started tearing the stuff off my wall. First thing, he did exactly what I told him not to do. So I stopped him. I said, you can go help my wife. I said, where are my tools? He lost my tools in a space of about 10 minutes, lost my tools, destroyed my siding, and was mad that I had the audacity to say, look, man, you screwed up my siding, you've lost my tools, go away. And then he goes and tells my wife that he has anger issues. And I wish he'd said to me he had anger issues, because I'd have told him, boy, I can fix them anger issues right now. You'll never have anger issues again with adult men. So he didn't tell me he had anger issues. He told my wife he had anger issues. And, the parents are at fault for letting this kid turn into the little demon that he was. And at this point, I don't really care if it pisses people off. There's a whole lot of fault to go around for this nightmare of a human that they created and allowed and facilitated and encouraged and allowed to fester in their house for 2 years while this kid lay in bed, woke up when he felt like it, ate their food, and played on the internet for 2 years as an adult male. So that's all. I'm not going to talk about it again. I am going to cover that up, get everything off of this, and go to sanding. And when I'm done sanding this, I'm going to clean all the dust up and then go back to, I'll put one coat on this and then my second coat on the other one. Okay, I guess I could show you the before. Here's the before. And I'll show you when it's all sanded. What a mess I have created. I was going to give up on these scratches, but I got them sanded out. The rest of the bench, I've got them all sanded out. I've got 2 discs left and a new one on here. Whatever I can't get with these 3 discs, I'm just going to have to sand over, because I'm not going to stop and go buy more sandpaper. Oh God, what a freaking mess I have. I wish I hadn't, because I'm going to, from top to bottom, I'm going to have to brush everything off, vacuum everything up all over again. My God, what a huge mess I've made. But once I start something, I hate to not finish it. So here we are. It won't be long. 3 more sanding discs, about another 30 minutes, and I'll have whatever I can sanded up, and then I will take my brush and start the cleaning up process before I put a coat on this. Dear Lord, what have I done? You're looking at me like, what in the hell have you done to my bedroom? There is no bedroom right now. Okay. So let me show you this. I had just enough to get most of it. I got a few deep gouges that I just have to sand too much of the table away to get them out. Oh, Lordy, what a freaking mess. I can't believe it. It's just on everything. So I'm going to wash my face and head and arms off, and probably my legs, and have me something to drink, and then I'm going to get my vacuum cleaner and my brush, and I'm just going to start brushing from the ceiling on down with my vacuum cleaner near the brush, and I think that'll work. I'm going to get everything cleaned up in here, including the floor.
and then I'm going to go to put my polyurethane. The worst is over. Now the cleanup is going to be second worst, and once I get the cleanup done, it'll all be smooth sailing. So, all right, let's get to work. Yeah, just sitting there thinking, while I was sanding, I was thinking, it's real easy to sit on the outside and judge, and I'm not being judgmental. Maybe I was, but I didn't mean to, about this family. But here's the weird thing, that there's two kids in that family. One kid, I mean, they both had the exact same upbringing, exact same opportunity, grew up in the same house with the same parents at the same time. And one kid went to college and has got a very nice job, and the other kid, when he graduated, absolutely refused to leave the house, would not get a driver's license. So, you know, you can't, it is real easy to be on the outside looking in and say what I said. So I was wrong. And, you know, I've known other families who did everything they could to provide a good life for their child, and the child, you know, led a life of drug addiction, and so you just never know, and it's real easy for people on the outside to be judgmental, and I think I may have lapsed into that. So I was wrong. The bottom line is, it's a real tragedy for everybody involved, because this kid has taken the wrong fork, and it's a shame. Anyway, and you know, some of it is the parents. I mean, I would not let that kid behaved in a way in my house that I would not have let him, and he had everybody convinced that they should be afraid of his anger, and I think that's partly what he used to keep his parents from making him go and be a part of the world, was because he would have anger tantrums. And I wouldn't, if it was me, I would have handled it differently. The first anger tantrum he had as a grown man, I'd have beat his ass. And when I told him to either get out of my house or get a job, and he refused, he would get out of my house. Or he said he would get the police involved. You can't evict me, I live here. Oh, maybe so, but I can shut your electricity off, I can close your air conditioner vent, you don't get to use our water or eat our food. Anyway, that's that. I'm done. I'm done thinking about it. I shouldn't be judgmental, and I was, because who knows? I mean, it's obvious that they have one child that grew up to be a successful young adult, and the other child didn't. So, you know, did they do right by one child and not by the other? I know that's not true. So you just have you can only do so much in making a good human. You know, a lot of it is up to the human. So there you go. All right, I'm gonna drink my water and get to cleaning. All right, there's a second coat on that. It's probably going to take, I think the third coat is going to be the one that looks really good. That's the first coat on that. The blotchy areas, that has the first coat of poly on it, but it soaked in so fast because I had to sand down so far to get through all the scratches and dings and dents. So what I'm going to do now is finish cleaning up this little bit. I'm going to mop this floor. I'm getting everything out of here that doesn't have to be on the floor. That, my water dunking file cabinet thing there, trash cans, everything out of here except this chair, because I'm going to put another coat on that and a second coat on that in the morning, and I'll paint this floor tomorrow morning. I'm kind of Only got a little bit more I'm going to do in here. I'm going to mop the floor, and that's it for today. Mop the floor. I'm going to get everything out of here. Like I said, that doesn't have to be here. And that's it for today. I think probably have this done by Monday. So, what is today? Thursday? Is today Wednesday or Thursday? God, I don't even know. Okay, it's Thursday because the garbage was supposed to come today and not come until tomorrow. And we have a bunch of bad meat that we're going to throw away. So we're going to wait till late tonight to throw it away. So it'll only be in the garbage cans till early Friday morning. Because we're trying to empty a freezer and we really screwed up by putting... That's the bad thing about a horizontal, a chest type freezer is you have to really do some diligent circulating. You got to dig down to the bottom. I mean, you got to be really careful, and we weren't, and we ended up wasting food that's so badly freezer burned. And it's shameful and embarrassing, and we will not do that again. As a matter of fact, we're emptying that freezer out that's in Bev's garage. It's our freezer. And it's slightly bigger than the one we have in the house. So what we're going to do is put that in the house, and the little tiny freezer, we're just going to store down here indefinitely. And we're only going to keep one freezer full, and that way we can take better care of the food we have in it. So yeah, I've been giving a lot more thought to the situation about that young man that packed a bag and left overnight, and it was total strangers that bought him a airplane ticket to go 1,000 miles to a town, a city, a state he's never even been to. So it is not good, not good, not good. And I think it's sort of cultish where he's going to. So I think some older people saw a young man with a pretty empty head and got their claws into him. And I hope to God he can make it through this bad part of his life and become a productive and normal adult. So, here we go. I'm going to get everything out of here, mop the floor, call it a day.